Thank you for tuning in to another episode with Mrs. Danielle DeVita. I am a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 13 years, and my goal is to help both men and women be in relationships that's best for them. So today we're going to talk about 6 signs your relationship is most likely over. So, I've had coaching and people were asking, how do we fix this and how do I make it work? And sometimes the relationship is just over. So I want to go over these 6 signs that you could, see if is this where you are? Because the good news is if it's not, there's a possibility you may be able to make it work. So I'm going to go ahead and go into those signs. The first sign is the respect is gone. And I'm not talking about, okay, you lost respect for your partner in this particular situation only. But I mean, you've lost total respect for them. Because to respect someone is to reverence them, the value that they bring, their abilities and what they have to offer. So if what this person has to offer you, the relationship, or what value you feel like they have, their skill set, their ability to either provide or their ability to be the woman that you want them to be, whatever it is, if you lost total respect for their entire being, that relationship won't last. But what's going to happen is when people tend to not respect one another, they tend to get, emotionally, mentally, verbally, physically, right? Abusive, right? They tend to do things that is going to hurt the relationship and add toxicity to it. And a lot of times it may start with passive aggressive behaviors, become petty. And those things it's a snowball effect. I talk often about the loss of respect or the lack of respect can really bring down a relationship. And that's so true both ways, men and women. If a woman doesn't respect a man, and if the man doesn't respect that woman, that relationship is going to go nowhere fast, right? And you want it to flourish. You want the relationship to bloom. You want all your relationships to bloom. Think about the person that you have little or no respect for. You don't want to form a healthy relationship with them. You don't even want to form a relationship with them at all. You want to just go the other way because you have zero respect for them. And this is how it is in relationships. You tend to not respect them, the things that they say or do. And then again, you won't even appreciate it. The other thing would be number 2 is trust. When there's zero trust, not like you didn't trust them in this particular situation, or you're hesitant next time until they can show you that they can be trusted again. But you have zero trust. You won't trust anything they say or do at this point on. You're always going to be looking at them sideways, no matter how much they can prove it to you, how many times they say the words or they try, you just won't trust them. You refuse to trust that they're going to be the person that they say they're going to be. And even when people try, you have this resentment about them thinking, when is the other shoe going to drop? Even if it's been years, sometimes someone could cheat one time, but you'll never trust them again. Even if they never cheat again. Again, not always. Infidelity will tarnish a relationship because a lot of people bounce back from that because that person has, earned that other person's trust again. So again, this is specifically for those who believe that they can't trust that person ever again. They choose not to trust them. They can't, or the person cannot show that they can be trusted, or even if the person shows they can be trusted, the other person just can't find it in them to fully be vulnerable with them or fully trust them. They're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. So that's kind of self-explanatory. You just don't trust them, period, at all. Not in this particular situation or this particular thing, or trust them around this person, but you just don't trust them. You don't trust what they say, what they're going to do. You don't believe anything that they say they're going to do, or believe that they're just going to be a better person. You are the kind of person that believe that a cheetah never changes his spots or her spots. That's what you believe. Number 3, a person mentally checks out is another sign that the relationship is most likely over. A lot of times people are still in a relationship, but mentally they're gone. They've checked out of the relationship. Sometimes you see people that are married, but they're dating other people. You see people that they're married, but it's like that person they're treating them like a roommate. And I'm not talking about for just a period of time, like silent treatment or they're mad, but they have mentally checked out of the marriage or the relationship. they are not there. They are simply going through the motions, and typically it's because they feel like they're stuck. Maybe they're stuck. They bought a home together and they don't want to give it up, or they can't. They're stuck in a relationship because they have young children and they don't want to mess up the young children. Living situations, or they're stuck because maybe they don't have the funds to leave the relationship. They are actually stuck physically in a relationship, but mentally they don't want anything to do with that person, both men and women. It could be whoever. A lot of times I've come across situations where men have checked out of the relationship. They've checked out of the marriage. Even though they're still married, they haven't filed for divorce. They've mentally checked out, which is why I tend to see a lot of women filing for divorce when the man has mentally checked out, but he's physically there. But he has nothing to do with her. They don't sleep together. They don't even probably live together sometimes. In some cases, they don't live together, or they're sleeping in a different room. They don't kiss. They haven't touched, hugged in years. They don't even live in the same area. They are just doing life separately, but they're still physically, or they're still married, or still in a relationship. So sometimes people are wondering why a lot of women are filing for divorce, but sometimes a man has mentally checked out, or sometimes in some cases, if the man cheats, the woman has, even though she's still staying with him, she's mentally checked out, but she's been done with him. And that's a big telltale sign, which brings me to number 4, where communication stops. I've said many times that when I stop communicating, that's it. If I'm not communicating, a lot of times, women tend to want to communicate often, revisit the situation over and over and over, and it irritates a man. But when she stops arguing about whatever it is, sometimes men can attest to it, like, okay, well, she don't even care that I'm coming in late. She don't care that I'm doing this. Also, with her mentally being checked out, she probably is doing her own thing now, because women are verbal. So when we can't talk and have that conversation, or when we've decided there's no point in having any conversation at all, sometimes the relationship is over. Now, again, you can't take one little thing and believe that, oh, okay, my relationship is over. Sometimes it's a combination of these things. You need a combination, because sometimes people feel like their voice isn't heard, so they just mentally, they verbally stop communicating. Right? So it may not always be the case with just this one. Some people just are tired of having the same conversation. So to give them peace of mind, they shut down communication wise. I see this often with men where they just let the woman do whatever because, and someone would say, well, this guy is a beta male. He just lets his woman dominate. No, he tried to do a lot of things, but for his peace of mind, he just shut down and stopped communicating to her his wants and his needs. So he just was like, whatever, and sometimes people stop communicating when they feel like their voice isn't heard, or they feel like there's always some type of attack going on when they try to convey things. It's convey their feelings. So it's not always just one particular thing that the relationship is over, but this is a sign that the relationship could potentially be over, especially if not only does the communication stop, but the person mentally checks out, or then there's no trust now, or because then there's also no respect. So sometimes it's a totality of things that would determine if the relationship is over. But this is one where a person stops communicating at all. So whatever was bothering them, whatever was a pet peeve, they're like, forget it, whatever. I don't even care anymore. Again, usually when it's severe, it leads to a person mentally checking out. Usually this is combined with a mental check out of the relationship. Number 5, I would say when a person has physically checked out of the relationship. When a person, well, actually, you know what? Before I go into when they physically checked out of the relationship, let me go into when a person chooses to not forgive a person. When you choose not to forgive a person, so like let's use the example of someone cheated on you. If you choose, I'm never gonna forgive them. Not in the heat of the moment, like you can't see yourself forgiving them, but after it's all said and done, you still choose not to forgive them, even if they've made a turnaround, they've proven to you that they won't do it again, they've groveled, they've done the work to show that this won't happen again, and I'm going to do all that I need to do. Sometimes people choose not to ever forgive, so then they can't heal. So then all of this resentment and anger builds up, and then they probably tend to do some petty things. things where they need to go and get help and healing. When you choose not to forgive them, sometimes you tend to also lose respect. And usually when you don't forgive, it's because you no longer trust them. So that's why I say a lot of these things, there's more than one things that need to come together. Oftentimes people choose not to forgive because they don't see this person ever doing and being better in their eyes anymore. They choose not to forgive because it hurts too much, which means there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. And usually when you don't heal, the relationship cannot blossom. Right? And then that brings me to number 6, where a person decides, you know what? I'm physically leaving a relationship. I have physically checked out of the relationship. I'm leaving. I'm not staying with you. And when I say physically, I don't mean I'm gonna go for a little while and then I'll come back and deal with you later. This person has literally moved on, checked on with their life. They have left you for someone else. They have left, moved across the country. They have left and just they're radio silent. You don't hear about them, see them again, or they're telling you, I don't want this anymore. A lot of times we try to get people to come back, but the relationship is over. They told you they don't want it. They physically left. I want out of this relationship, and I'm going to show you I don't want it by deciding to not play the role of husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm just doing me, and you're going to do you. A lot of times people want to figure out how to get someone back when they've left. Not only have they mentally checked out, but they physically checked out. They're gone. They've moved on with their life. So these are some 6 signs of how do you know the relationship might be over. So if you do believe that the relationship is over, I would definitely heal from that process. Don't jump into a new relationship, because healing is the best recipe for making sure your next relationship is blossoming like it should be, because now you're shedding away that dead weight and that anger and that resentment that you have from the last previous relationships or whatever trauma, and then you can go into the new relationship with a clean slate. So that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and check out my website, mrsdanielledevita.com. Check out the book that I've written, Command Respect from the Woman You Want. And also check me out on the Philip Scott Show, which I am a contributor on that as well. I am also on Spotify, Feminine Energy with Danielle DeVita. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube as Mrs. Danielle DeVita. Take care. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content.